There are moments, silent, intangible, when the air thickens with something unspoken, when the hairs on the back of your neck rise for no logical reason, when an unseen presence brushes the edge of your awareness like a whisper through the veil. These are not random occurrences, they are signals, invitations, portals into a dimension our senses were never taught to trust. We are never truly alone. Beneath the noise of modern life, beyond the linear perception of space and time, an ancient intelligence observes, waits, and responds. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, spoke often of realms unseen, dimensions in which the soul continues after death, where connection is not severed by the loss of the physical body, but transmuted into subtler forms of contact. The spirit does not vanish, it watches, and sometimes it reaches out. To be watched by a spirit is not a cause for fear, it is a sign of spiritual intimacy, a message that you are ready to see with more than just your eyes. Cayce taught that all life is connected through a divine vibration, and those who have crossed over can still attune to us if the frequency is right. But recognizing these signs requires stillness, presence, and the willingness to feel what logic cannot explain. The first sign is the inner knowing, a deep, immovable sense that someone is with you, not imagined, not invented, but known, felt, and real. You turn around and no one is there, yet the sensation lingers. It is as if your consciousness has been brushed by another. This is not coincidence, it is resonance. A spirit's gaze leaves behind a spiritual fingerprint, subtle but persistent. Edgar Cayce often emphasized that energy never dies, it transforms, and consciousness, being the highest form of energy, continues its journey through layers of experience. Spirits watch not to haunt but to guide, to support, to hold vigil. You may sense this while alone, especially in transitional moments, before sleep, during grief, or when you are on the threshold of a major life decision. These are liminal states where the veil thins and the messages grow louder for those who are willing to hear. Sometimes the presence makes itself known through temperature shifts, a sudden chill or warmth that has no source, or through an aroma, familiar and distinct, like a loved one's perfume or the scent of a place long past. Cayce described these as vibratory echoes, spiritual signatures carried on the current of memory and energy. But most often the sign is silence, a sacred, enveloping quiet that is not empty but full, charged with awareness. In these silences, a spirit's gaze is felt most clearly. Not through sight, but through the language of vibration. The soul understands this language, the body feels it. Goosebumps, a sudden stillness, the urge to pause, to listen deeper. Why would a spirit watch you? Perhaps it is love, a bond that transcends lifetimes. Perhaps it is protection, or perhaps your soul's light has grown strong enough to be seen from beyond. Spirits are drawn to light, to intention, to the subtle flames of awakening. Cayce believed that the soul radiates according to its spiritual maturity. If you are being watched, it may be because your radiance is calling forth the unseen. Do not fear this gaze, embrace it. You are part of something far greater than you have been told. You are known in realms your mind has never visited. And those who watch you do so not to intrude, but to remind you, you are never alone in your journey. You are being guided, protected, remembered. After the initial recognition of presence, the knowing that you are not alone, comes a deeper unfolding. Spirits, as described by Edgar Cayce, do not communicate in the ways we are accustomed to. Their language is vibrational, symbolic, and intuitive. If you are being watched by a spirit, it is likely they are also trying to send you messages, quietly and consistently, woven into the fabric of your daily life. The second sign is the appearance of patterns, synchronicities too precise to dismiss, repeating numbers, uncanny timing, objects misplaced and reappearing. Songs that play at the perfect moment, carrying a lyric that pierces your heart with relevance. Cayce referred to this as the spiritual law of attunement. When a soul vibrates at a higher frequency, it aligns with universal intelligence, and that intelligence uses all of creation to speak. These patterns are not accidents. They are the fingerprints of spirit upon the moment, signaling alignment, guiding attention. When a spirit watches, it often seeks to communicate reassurance or direction. The medium is not always dramatic. Often it is delicate. A book falls from a shelf. A page opens to a specific passage. The wind stirs without cause. All of it is a conversation, if you are willing to listen beyond the surface. When a deceased loved one watches over you, they often use the material world to confirm their presence. You may find coins in unusual places, feathers on your path, lights that flicker in rhythm, electronics that behave strangely in their presence. Cayce saw these as natural consequences of vibrational interference, spirit frequencies intersecting with our denser plane. What seems like a glitch is often a greeting. The third sign is found within your own dreams. Dreams are not merely subconscious projections. According to Cayce, they are the soul's theater, a sacred space where the physical mind rests and the spiritual self takes the lead. In this dream space, spirits find it easier to reach us. They appear not always in their physical form, but in symbols, archetypes, or presences that carry their essence. You may feel their love, their message, or even wake with a sense of being held. If you dream of someone who has passed, especially if the dream is vivid, emotionally charged, or recurring, it is likely not just a memory, it may be a visitation. The spirit watching you may choose the dream realm to deliver comfort, warning, or guidance. Pay close attention to how you feel upon waking. Often, the emotional residue of a spiritual dream lingers in ways ordinary dreams do not. Cayce encouraged dream journaling as a spiritual practice. He believed that consistent attention to your dreams opens a channel to higher dimensions, making it easier to discern the subtle nudges from spirit. When you record and reflect on your dreams, you begin to decode the language of the soul and of those who now reside in spirit. What connects all these signs, synchronicities, physical anomalies, and dreams is the vibration of awareness. The spirit watching you is not passive, it is responsive. And when you raise your own awareness, when you begin to live as if everything is meaningful, the messages become clearer, more direct, more alive. You are not hallucinating, you are awakening. The veil between the seen and unseen is thinner than you were taught to believe. Spirits are not bound by time or space. They operate through frequency. When your vibration matches theirs, even briefly, a doorway opens. Through that doorway, signs come pouring through, and when you welcome them, acknowledge them, and respond with gratitude, the connection strengthens. You are not imagining these signs, you are remembering a deeper language, the language of presence, the language of soul. There is a sacred silence that speaks louder than words, a silence that enters not through the ears but through the heart. If you have ever felt a sudden wave of emotion with no discernible cause, if you have been overcome by sadness, warmth, or longing in a moment that defies logic, you may have experienced the third and fourth signs, emotional resonance and psychic impression. According to Edgar Cayce, emotions are the soul's language, and spirits dwelling in a realm of pure vibration often communicate not through speech but through feeling. When a spirit watches you, it may send impressions that land directly into your emotional field. These impressions are not always subtle. Sometimes they arrive like a gust of wind, leaving you breathless, still, inexplicably moved. Have you ever cried suddenly, feeling the presence of someone who is no longer alive? Have you smiled involuntarily, sensing love so profound it feels like sunlight against your skin? These are not fabrications, these are visitations. A spirit's gaze does more than observe, it transmits, it resonates, it envelops. Cayce taught that each of us has a spiritual nervous system, a subtle body that extends beyond the physical form and is sensitive to frequencies beyond ordinary perception. When a spirit enters your field, your subtle body reacts. Emotions shift, thoughts surface, intuition sharpens. This is not your imagination. It is a deeper sensing, a recognition that surpasses the intellect. The fourth sign is the psychic impression, sudden thoughts, images, or inner voices that feel foreign yet familiar. You may hear a name, you may receive a piece of guidance that feels wiser than your own mind could have created. You may see a flash of a face, a memory, or a place without any external trigger. These are imprints, echoes, glimpses into the intention of the one who watches you. Cayce described the mind as a conduit, a receiver and transmitter of spiritual energy. In states of calm receptivity, such as meditation or still contemplation, the mind becomes fertile ground for spirit impressions. These messages often bypass logic and appear as knowing. You don't reason them out, you simply know, and that knowing settles into your bones with a kind of quiet certainty. You may also feel drawn to certain actions without understanding why. You walk into a room and forget what you were doing, only to find a photo or object connected to a past loved one. You take a different route home and encounter a sign, literal or symbolic, that speaks directly to your current struggle. These are not accidents. They are the orchestration of consciousness. When you are being watched by a spirit, your inner landscape becomes more dynamic. Dreams intensify, emotions deepen, intuition becomes more persistent. The spirit's gaze acts like a mirror, reflecting not just their presence, but your own expanding awareness. You begin to sense not only that you are being observed, but that you too are capable of seeing beyond the veil. This is the point where many begin to question their sanity. But what if sanity, as commonly defined, is simply the refusal to acknowledge what lies just beyond the material? Cayce would argue that true sanity includes the spiritual, that wholeness cannot be found without recognizing the invisible forces that shape our reality. The emotional and psychic imprints left by a spirit are sacred invitations. They ask you to pause, to feel, to trust. They remind you that you are not just a body or a mind, but a soul with ancient roots and eternal ties. Those watching you are not strangers. They are kin, allies, messengers. And if you choose to respond, to sit with the feeling, to honor the impression, you will find that the connection grows, the silence deepens, the guidance becomes clearer. You are being remembered by spirit because you are beginning to remember yourself. When a spirit watches you, the fabric of reality shifts in subtle yet unmistakable ways. The fourth and fifth signs of spirit presence begin to unfold in your relationship to energy and time. You may not notice it at first, but gradually your internal rhythm changes. The hours stretch or contract, your perception sharpens, the moment feels charged, pregnant with unseen intention. This shift is not imaginary, it is vibrational. Edgar Cayce taught that time is not linear, but layered. That spirit exists in a state where past, present and future coalesce into a unified field of awareness. When a spirit gazes upon you, you are pulled into this expanded field. Time becomes elastic. You may experience déjà vu, premonitions, or moments where everything stands still as if the universe is holding its breath. Have you ever felt like the world paused just for you? A bird hovers in mid-air, a clock ticks louder, your breath slows, and you feel deep in your bones that something sacred is happening. This is the fifth sign. Spirit's presence alters the energetic structure of time around you. What you feel is not just a moment, it is a portal, a thinning of the veil. You may begin to wake up at the same time every night, often between 2:1 and 4:1 a.m. These are the hours when spiritual activity is most pronounced, when the mind is quiet and the subtle senses awaken. Cayce described these hours as thresholds, bridges between dimensions, when the physical body sleeps, but the soul stirs. If a spirit is watching you, this is when they may draw nearest, and in these hours you may feel more than just their gaze. You may feel compelled to write, to pray, to sit in stillness, not because you plan to, but because your soul is responding to the presence of something greater than itself. This is not restlessness, it is recognition. The sixth sign is the shift in energy, both around you and within you. Rooms may feel different, objects may carry new meaning. Your own body may vibrate, pulse or hum in unfamiliar ways. These sensations are not symptoms, they are signals. Cayce spoke of the body as a sensitive instrument, capable of detecting spiritual presence if properly attuned. You may notice a tingling at the crown of your head, a pressure at your forehead, a warmth in your chest. These are common sensations reported by those who are being watched by a spirit. They are not random, they are vibrational signatures, indications that another consciousness is in proximity, that your aura is being gently touched by a subtler force. Your intuition also sharpens. You begin to sense what others are feeling. You become more aware of your surroundings, more sensitive to shifts in mood or space. Your dreams grow more vivid, your thoughts more aligned with inner truths. This is not a side effect, it is evolution. Spirit's gaze awakens latent abilities within you, gifts that were always there waiting for recognition. Cayce believed that such awakenings are part of a soul's journey toward higher consciousness, that those who are watched by Spirit are often being prepared for deeper service, greater insight, or the next step in their soul's unfolding. If you feel watched, ask, what within me is being activated? Because the presence of Spirit is not passive, it is catalytic. It changes you. And the more you welcome this energy, the more the world around you begins to reflect it. You see through appearances. You feel the vibration behind the words. You begin to live not from reaction, but from presence. This is how the spirit world teaches, not through command, but through resonance. You are not merely observed, you are remembered, called, and aligned. You are being prepared to see as they see, with the eyes of the soul. If you have felt the invisible gaze, noticed the synchronicities, sensed the energy, received the impressions, and watched time bend around you, then you are already standing in the sacred current of the final sign, the seventh, the most mysterious and transformative of all, the internal calling. When a spirit watches you, it is never without purpose. Edgar Cayce taught that every soul has a divine pattern, a spiritual blueprint encoded before birth. Life on earth is not random, it is a classroom of remembrance, and those who observe you from beyond are often part of your soul's greater design. They may be guides, ancestors, fragments of love still tethered to your path. But above all, they are catalysts for your awakening. The final sign is subtle yet unmistakable. It is the shift in direction, the sudden yearning to live more deeply, to serve more truly, to align with something vast and eternal. It may begin with discontent, a discomfort with surface living, a desire to strip away the unnecessary. It may come as a whisper. There is more to you than this. This is not your imagination. It is the Spirit's invocation. When a spirit watches you, their presence stirs your soul's original memory. It calls forth the part of you that remembers the agreements made before entering this life, the mission, the lessons, the gifts to be shared. Cayce believed that many of our struggles arise from forgetting this deeper truth. Spirit's presence serves as a lighthouse guiding us back. You may find yourself drawn to spiritual study, to meditation, to healing work or creative expression. You may feel called to help others, to change your life, to listen more closely to the voice within. This calling is not external. It is not born from ego. It rises from the place where your soul meets the eternal. Sometimes the spirit who watches you is a loved one who departed too soon. Sometimes it is a guide you have never met in this lifetime, but their purpose is not to impress or interfere, it is to awaken. And you, if you are willing, will begin to see your entire life differently, not as a series of random events, but as an orchestrated unfolding. You begin to trust your intuition. You begin to honor your energy. You begin to follow the subtle nudges even when they defy logic. And in doing so, you become a participant in the mystery, not merely watched, but woven into the dance. Cayce taught that awakening is not about seeing spirits. It is about remembering spirit within yourself. To be watched is to be witnessed. And to be witnessed is to be seen in your wholeness, by something beyond ego, beyond form. This gaze is not surveillance, it is sacred recognition. It mirrors your divine potential back to you. Eventually, the signs are no longer needed, because you no longer doubt. You live as if spirit is always with you, because it is. You speak to them, you listen, you co-create with the invisible. And in this state, fear dissolves. Death softens, life becomes luminous. You were never alone. You are deeply loved, deeply guided. And the spirit who watches you does so not from above, but from within the shared field of consciousness you both belong to. The veil is thinner than breath, and once you see through it, the world can never look the same again. If these words touched your soul, subscribe to the channel and click on the video that just appeared on your screen. It was chosen especially for you. I know you'll love it.